the list is based off their performance.
Mm-hmm.
So not as a sportsman, more just what they did in their career.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Yep.
Not did they have a scandal or not, or he did this or he said this or he tweeted about that or he posted about this. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just more if you're a footballer, it's based on your career as a footballer.
Yeah.
If you're a golfer, what you've won and how you were, if you're a boxer, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just before you go on about it, Fatih, when I was compiling my list, like there's gonna be some sort of bias involved because for me to understand how good Tom Brady was, I need to follow the NFL for a while, you know? I'm not saying that what he has done is not remarkable. It's just I don't know much about it. So when I was compiling my list, initially I didn't do any internet research. I just thought of, sports and whose name pops up first in that category of sport and if they were amazing. So it is definitely, there is some sort of bias in this. I'll admit from the start, I tried to make it without it, but there's going to be. With just my knowledge of sports, I will come out and say now that I don't have any NFL players in my top 10.
How dare you?
I don't have because I wouldn't even be able to name who was amazing. I just know who was on the front of Madden covers, years ago when I was playing it, like with Michael Vick. The first NFL game I ever played, Madden, I can't even remember. It might have been 07, had Michael Vick as the Falcons quarterback at the time. And that's the only quarterback that I know besides Tom Brady. So I didn't include any NFL players in my top 10 list.
Okay, that's fair enough. Look, with my list as well, I'm probably sort of similar to you. I know that there are legends in the game or throughout other sports that I know of, but I don't know enough about the sport.
Yep.
Okay.
And see, some of these names that I've chosen, I don't know much about the sport, but they've been so influential in that sport that even without following it, you know how great they are.
Okay. Do you want to start off your list?
No, I'm going to let you go first.
You're going to let me go
do the
first?
honors. Yeah.
All right, let's go. All right, let me just pull up my list and we shall go from there.
I didn't know you weren't ready. I could have gone if that was the case. I've got a couple of surprise names in my list, so it's going to be a little bit interesting to see what you think about that.
All right, got my list now. Okay, so I'll give you my 3 honorable mentions before I start, only on the sense of what I just said previously, which is I don't know enough about the sport.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Actually, one I do know plenty about the sports, but I believe she is still not number 1 yet, but I believe she will be. But that's why she just sort of misses out, which is Serena Williams.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's second on the list behind Margaret Court, I believe, for Grand Slam titles or just the amount of titles that she has. And I think that within her career, she'll surpass her.
She's dominated an era. Like, how long have we been hearing about Serena Williams for?
Thousands of years.
Since dinosaurs were around. But no, she's been around for so long and such a dominant figure as well.
Yeah,
so
I think
definitely an honorable mention.
I think it was off the top of my head this season. I could be wrong here. I think it was a 2003 or 2002 season where she, at one stage, she owned all the titles. She didn't win them all in 1 year. I think she won French Open, Wimbledon, and US Open in 1 year, and then she won Australian Open because it starts first the next year.
So like a Chelsea
pretty
Champions
much,
League and Europa at the same
pretty
time.
much, yeah. And so at one stage, yeah, she couldn't do it all in 1 year, but at one stage she was the champion of all 4 at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, again, I would love to have her in my list, but, maybe if we do one again, say in a couple of years' time, and she's retired and she's literally set the benchmark, of course she'll make the list easy. Babe Ruth, baseball. I've known about him and I've sort of like read into him more. I've never seen him play, but just the name itself and what he's done for baseball, he in my eyes he's a legend based on what I've read. I've never seen him play, considering his age and era that he played as well. And Wayne Gretzky, it's just the number 1 NHL player or hockey player of all time. Again, I don't know enough about hockey to put him on my list too, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so my first one.
So is this your number 10?
This is my number 10. Starting off, we've got Sir Donald Bradman. Okay.
Okay.
So I've got Bradman as number 10. Now, if you're watching in America, Sir Donald Bradman is a cricketer. What's cricket? It's baseball, just longer and weirder, if that makes sense. Okay.
Great definition.
Okay. It's instead of batting like this, you bat more towards the ground
And
and smashing it out.
I'm going to argue it's the only sport played in the world where you have lunch breaks and tea breaks. So that's how long these games go for.
Yeah, 5-day games. Look, again, if you're an Australian, you know who Sir Donald Bradman is. Okay, the guy's, you know he's important when he's a Sir. Okay, his batting average 99.94. Okay, now across the tests, if there was a statistic that I was reading, and you and I were discussing this off air, and they were making comparisons based on his batting average compared to the averages of other sports, such as like football goals per game, basketball points per game, and stuff like that. He was number one. Like, he beat every other sportsman when it came to what he did in every match, if that's the case. In every match that he was part of, this guy was literally the benchmark. Okay, so look, for me, for a man to be so influential in such a sport where there's no one even in comparison, I can't omit him from my list. Okay, like, even when we look at his batting average and stuff like that, the closest person is like 30 runs under him. Like, they're in the 60s range. So it'd be the equivalent of, like, if you're a basketball player and you're scoring, let's say, the average, like 4 point something per game, it'd be like the next person being like 1.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a level of difference to this guy. Okay, so he for the American viewers, he has passed away. He passed away, like, I think nearly 20 years ago or something like that. But he's my number 10. All right, number 9. This guy is currently still playing. He is a tennis player, so I've got Roger Federer as number 9. Okay, this guy, he's the bench. Like, I know that Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer have 20 titles each. Okay, I definitely give the curve of the greatest tennis player of all time to Roger Federer easily, on the sense of Rafael Nadal has, I think he won the French Open 13 times, while Federer's just dominated across the board. Okay, yeah, Nadal's dominated the French Open because it's on clay, and he's just an animal on that. But Federer, when it came to Wimbledon, when it came to the US Open, the Australian Open, every time the word, like, someone was versing Federer, you automatically like wiped off the other guy in his peak. Do you know what I mean? Like, it took the rivalry of Nadal Federer to actually go, you know what, we have someone that can potentially be what Federer is. His backhands, I can go on and on about him, because it just amazes me with some of the stuff that he does. Just he's thinking about the game, the way he thinks of what to do. Even when there's certain videos online that you just watch, that him arguing with the umpire and knowing that he's right. Like, there was one video that I was watching, I was actually amazed by it. It was just so good, where he hit a ball and then it bounced twice, but the other player got it. Like, it's bad. Like, on the naked eye, you won't see it. And the other guy won the point. And Federer approached the umpire, and it was like, that ball spun. He goes, that ball spun in a specific way. He goes, it's impossible that if it didn't bounce, he goes, it would have came that way. He goes, it had to have bounced because it spun that way towards me. Like, look, that's what he's thinking. Like, that's what he's seeing, and that's what he's the only person there that's probably know it besides the other guy that's bounced. And, like, for him to just see it, and dude, the guy's a goat. Like, the guy, every you look at all the tennis players and stuff like that, everyone considers this guy as the benchmark. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was always, was it Pete Sampras? Was it John McEnroe? Was it what's his name? Bjorn? No, Bjorg. One of them two. Andre Agassi and all that. Like, it was, is it one of these guys? And then, bang. Yeah, Federer just came out of nowhere and absolutely smashed it out of the park.
Phenomenal sportsman as well. Like, he's such a humble person, and it's been great to grow up in an era where we got to see him play with Nadal many times in throughout the years, and the respect they have for each other is actually beautiful. So.
Yeah. Like, again, like I said, I'm trying to keep that sportsman thing out of it.
Yep.
But I do agree, 100%. Like, when I look at him, when he's even when in certain rivalries, you just don't see it together. But when you see, like, Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer, there's that amazing YouTube clip of them trying to film a commercial for a charity, and they have a gag reel of just them two just laughing their asses off because they can't do it properly. So you can genuinely see that this guy's not only from a sportsman perspective but from an athlete perspective, he's pretty much changed tennis.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so number 8. So I've gone on to the guy that you actually don't want to. You have that we started off with actually. So I've got Tom Brady as 8. Okay. I don't follow NFL to the point where it's to the T as some of the supporters American supporters would, I would say. But I've always tried to catch the playoffs. Okay, always try to catch. And over the course of the years that I've tried to start watching it, I've noticed just Tom Brady and what he does for his team, what he sees. Like it's like it's like he's got laser lock on his. You know when you cheat on PlayStation, it's like that. He's just got that on when he knows exactly. It's like when we play Apex and he's got wall hack. He just sees through certain angles that you wouldn't think about it. Like, and I was watching the Buccaneers match. What was it? What was it last week? Yeah, it was
Last
on Monday.
Friday.
It was on Monday. It was on Monday.
Monday, yep.
Monday Australian time, I should say. And just some of the plays where how he's so patient and how he's so just relaxed. Like you're looking at nearly 100, 150 kilo guys running at you, but he's so patient. And he knew exactly how to pick out the players. And he's just done that over the course of his years. Do you know what I mean? Like this guy was, I think the Patriots chose him as the 199th choice. That's where he's, out of the draft pick. And they put a photo up on Twitter of what he looked like. This guy looked like nothing. Like if you said to me that this guy was going to be the future 7-time Super Bowl champion and leading his team and going to another team at the age of 43 and winning another Super Bowl when everyone said you can't do it, and he got off. They didn't exactly get off to the best of starts either, and to win it, it's just like you would never have expected it from that kid. Do you know what I mean? So for me, look, he's on number 8. I know that there's probably a lot more NFL players out there, but for me, for a guy like that to go to change teams and to dominate a final against another player that is considered probably the best in the league at that time is just phenomenal.
And what you said about him, seeing him at the start, didn't look like anything special. I think that's a big part of what made up my list today, is how much drive these guys have as athletes to better themselves, to improve themselves. So definitely adds to points of being a good athlete.
Yeah, 100%. My number 7, I got LeBron James. Okay, so he's currently still playing for the Lakers, but from a basketball perspective, this guy is not only built like a tank, he plays like a tank, and he's playing at, I think he's towards the end of his career now, I would say. But if you said if I never knew who this guy was, and I put on the channel and I saw this guy playing the way he plays, I would think that he's probably like 23. Do you know what I mean? Like, I look at this guy, not only is he a phenomenal basketball player, not only does he do things that has put him on the tiers, on the conversations of Jordan. Do you know what I mean? Like, in my personal opinion, if you're entering Jordan territory, you've done something well in your career. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you got Kobe Bryant. Yeah, you got Shaquille O'Neal. Yeah, you got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and all that type of stuff. But LeBron James, I think that from an NBA perspective, if you're watching this guy or you have the privilege of attending a stadium or attending a match where he is, it's probably on the benchmark of when people used to watch Jordan. That's just the way I see it. Okay, this guy, year after year, I understand he's lost finals. Okay, and Jordan fans are probably gonna hate me. Like, it's like, oh, he did this, or I did that. It's like, man, appreciate what he's done. Okay, I get it. He's probably, you guys don't want him to enter Jordan territory, but you can't not appreciate greatness when it's there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So for me, LeBron is definitely there. And again, he started at many different teams and he's won them all. Like, he's winning the trophy still. Again, he just did it with the Lakers as it's just passed through. Okay, so LeBron is number 7 for me. Number 6, I've got Usain Bolt. Okay, so Usain Bolt, if you actually look at this guy and realize what he's done in life, over 3 Olympics back to back to being the fastest man alive, and not only owning the record still, it's just insane. Not only to do it with from a 100-meter perspective, the 200-meter perspective, and to carry a team for the relay. Look, I shouldn't say carry. They're an absolute amazing team.
Yep.
But I can't talk about him in a way because it bamboozles me of what I have to say about him. Like, I feel, in my personal opinion, I think if he tried harder, he would be better.
Yeah.
That's the type. Like,
He jogs the 100, right? Like,
Yeah.
almost seems like he's jogging the 100.
there's that photo of him that when he was running, it's one of those most iconic photos of him where he's looking back and smiling.
Yeah.
It's like, do you wonder what he could have achieved if he actually said, you know what, I'm going to run as hard as I possibly can in that race? Like, would it be 9.4, 9.3 maybe, where actually it's like it didn't put all the effort in and he still made it to the end.
Yeah.
So for me, and he, again, 3 back-to-back Olympics to do that, that's just insane. Like, you would think that on your third one, that age has caught up to you, that maybe that you wouldn't be able to do it as easily as before. Like, you can see it obviously in the third Olympic, like in his last Olympics, that he tried a bit harder. Like, he actually said, you know what, maybe I should put a bit of effort into it.
Yeah.
And you can sort of see the little gap, but it's like, man, these guys, the other guys, they're youngsters and they're trying to catch up to you, and you're just not letting them. It's just remarkable, man.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I there's, in my personal opinion, it's going to be hard to break his record, but as history has proven, records are meant to be broken, and new tech comes out. You know, they might allow shoes that have extra bits of foam, or someone knows how to step a bit better or breathe a little better. Science prevails at the end of the day when it comes to these types of sports. So at the moment, his record still stands, but again, winning over the course of 3 Olympics.
That's 12 years.
Yeah, over 12 years. Look at that. And I think he had a hamstring injury in the middle of one of those. I think it was Olympic 2 and Olympic 3, and came back and killed it. And I think a lot of people wrote him off as well. So he will be my number 6. Number 5. Now, I'll probably get into a bit of controversy here. Cristiano Ronaldo.
Okay.
Now, Lionel Messi is not on my list.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Don't kill me, Barcelona fans. Ronaldo, for me, the reason why I picked him, okay, not only is a phenomenal footballer, you can see him as a phenomenal athlete from a perspective of how he takes care of himself. Now, I'm not saying that Lionel Messi doesn't take care of himself, and this is where I got to tread like very softly here because Barcelona fans are stupid.
Wow. Great way to get him on your side.
I'm not a fan of Real Madrid either. It's just that I have to speak facts where it's due. Okay. This guy is amazing from a physical standpoint, from a playing perspective, from the passion he has for the game itself. Like, you can see his passion as people see as a reason for people to hate him, if that makes sense. Okay, you can see him in certain games where if he doesn't receive that pass, he loses his mind because of how passionate he is to this game. And yeah, it does come across probably as more dickheady, or if you want to call it more along the lines of, you know, not the best teammate, if people want to throw in those types of words. But I just see it as passion. Like, this man went to Man United and dominated, went to Spain and dominated, currently in Italy and more towards, again, I would have to say more towards the end of his career, and he's still killing it there. Okay, he's probably not doing as best as what's expected, you know, during obviously his prime years at Real and Manchester United. But what really stands out for me as well is what he does. What I potentially see from him from a managerial perspective as well was in Euros, where you can see him, the way he speaks to his players, where he was even on the sideline, even though he was injured, way he wanted to involve himself in the game. Now, I see this from, I don't see this from Messi. Okay, what I don't see from Messi is once things are going downhill, he doesn't know what to do.
Spits a dummy.
Sort of thing, yeah. Do you know what I mean? This guy's retired from the Argentinian team, you know, had a bit of a sook and stuff like that. Those things sort of downgrade me. Now, I won't take technique of this. I think Lionel Messi is better in Ronaldo. Sorry, from Ronaldo from a lot of little perspectives as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I had to say, whose left foot's better? Obviously Messi. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to doubt that. Like certain things of maybe agility, but when it comes to Ronaldo, just his physical strength, his football talent, what he's capable of in the game, the way he used to change the game, it's just insane. So for me, yeah, Ronaldo is definitely my fifth one. Now, what makes it bad for me is the guy that's above him. Because there's a massive difference between this man and that man. Now, I got number 4. I've got Muhammad Ali. Okay. Now, I made this comment to Emin off air, and I said that if this was based on sportsmen, where I had to take into consideration someone's career and as a person themselves outside of there, Muhammad Ali will be number 1. Easy and done. I understand he's got losses to his name, but Muhammad Ali for me is the greatest sportsman of all time. But when I'm considering him over his career as an athlete, he has lost, but you can sort of see towards the end of his career that age really did catch up to him, and a few of the fights that he should have won, he lost. So that really sort of downgrades. But what this man did at the beginning of his career, his mental warfare with fighters, like he started that pretty much. The whole it's not the trash talking you see now. You know what I mean? Like when you see Conor McGregor, or you see like when he came like Tito Ortiz, or when it comes to like the normal boxing trash talking now, he knew how to mentally drain you without offending you, without going into, you know, your family's history and stuff like that. He knew how to get into your mind only on the basis of dissing you, if that made sense. He not only dissed you the way that, like, we look at press conferences now, there's security guards and left, right, and center. If you look at the press conferences now for Muhammad Ali's boxing game, the guy is probably 2 feet away from you, and he's saying all these things to get into his mind. The guy's losing his shit, and then he backs it up. He backs it up with what he did from a boxing perspective, and just his taunting in the ring. Like there was, with everything combined, he's just an amazing boxer for me, and he does go into my number 4 slot. Okay, my number 3, I've lost my list. Okay, I've got Michael Jordan. Okay, so number 3 for me is definitely Michael Jordan.
This is interesting. Just going off your placements to mine, like they're in similar regions, but then I start crossing out players. I'm like, who is he going to have as number 1 then?
We're getting there. We're slowly getting there. Michael Jordan is number 3. 6 finals, 6 wins. Okay, to leave and come back and to do it again with a 3-peat. I don't know what else to say. The guy is like when you watch the way he played, what he did when he played, the little stories you hear of people taunting him and him backing himself on the court, the little stories of him taking shit personal and going, you know what? I'm not going to take it out on them in the media. I'm not going to take it out on them personally and go up to them. I'm going to score 40 points. Mm-hmm. Like, that's insane. Like, in my head, that's just insane. Like, you know that certain people taunting you or getting in your mind, you see it reflecting their performance. It'll either dip or come up. For him, it was always up. Mm-hmm. It was always, and we've all seen it in the Last Dance documentary. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He takes it personal. That's, as an athlete, to have that winning mentality of, how can I explain this? Of coming across as someone that's going to go, you know what? There's no way for you to beat me mentally, because whatever you say, I'm going to find a reason to hammer you with it. Mm-hmm. And that's insane. Like, I don't know anyone in any other sport that has done that.
Yeah, well, people gave him lemons. He didn't make lemonade. He made Solo.
People gave him lemons and he made Coca-Cola with it.
Yeah, like, pretty much. Like, from that Last Dance documentary, I can't remember the numbers, but someone told him you can't get 50 points. He's like, all right, I'll get 56. Like, it's just crazy stuff he was doing.
It's just that mentality. And like I said, as an athlete, you can't train yourself for that.
Mm-hmm.
You can't train yourself to go, I'm going to be mentally better.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? To the point where it's like you're always going to crack. And for him, it was more like, okay, I'm sick. How do I get better in the game that I'm doing? And boom.
Yeah.
He just knows how to pack.
You can really see that that mindset of Jordan in that very early on in his career when he was like just started off. He was talking about how they would celebrate in the change rooms, having a couple beers, doing drugs, blah, blah. And he was like, nah, this is going to affect my game. I'm not going to do it. Like the mindset he had, and he understood that what he put into his body completely affected how his game went. He just refused to do any of it. It's crazy.
100%. And some people see it as a negative, the way he would not rile up his teammates, but drive them possibly with a negative attitude to get the best out of them.
Mm-hmm.
He even did that perfect, in my opinion.
He was like almost a coach on the court.
I think coach would probably be a wrong word. It's like that angry father you have.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That angry father that's constantly following you around but being better than you at what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like that's just insane. And to add, obviously he's got Space Jam and all that type of stuff, but like the mentality, and again, I referred to the Last Dance documentary again, where they built the basketball court whilst he was filming Space Jam.
Mm-hmm.
And he invited superstars from the game at the time to come and play games with him.
Mm-hmm.
The funny thing was like how he was watching these players and still learning. Do you know what I mean? What is he going to do? Okay, he's done that. I would have done this because I need to get over this. I need to do that. Like that's just insane.
Yeah.
Like that mentality is amazing. So for me, Jordan is number 3. Now, do you have a guess who 1 and 2 could be? Out of curiosity.
Just looking at my list, I don't know if you would have added Michael Phelps in that list.
Mm-hmm.
All
right, we'll start. I'll leave you to have a look at ponder your list.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you put Tiger Woods in this list.
Tiger Woods is not on my list.
So
Number 2 for me, I've got Floyd Mayweather.
okay.
50-0.
Yeah.
Again, as an athlete, probably as a sportsman, he probably wouldn't make my list.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I personally don't. I disagree with a lot of outside of boxing things that he probably does, whether it's flaunting success and just his attitude and all that type of stuff. It probably doesn't make my list.
Yeah.
Okay, but as an athlete, as a
50
boxer,
and 0.
50-0. Okay, yeah. Towards the end of his career, he was more of a defensive fighter, less TKOs and all that type of stuff. And I know a lot of people use that against him, but as a boxer, if someone's punching you or trying to punch your face in half or damage your face, if you want to call it like that, and you're nowhere near being hurt, that's insane.
Yeah.
Like you're standing a feet, maybe 2 feet away from someone, and he leaves that ring like nothing happened. Not only does that happen, he takes a break, comes back, and makes them look like little children in the ring.
Mm.
I'll take out Conor McGregor. Okay, Conor McGregor came out of MMA and did a little uppercut. In my personal opinion, Floyd Mayweather let him get to 10 rounds. I think he if he wanted to, he could have finished it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you look at you look at the Manny Pacquiao fight. Everyone was riling up. Okay, this is the fight. This is it. Manny Pacquiao possibly be the one that's going to beat him. Even in that fight, it wasn't even close. Like he comes into the ring, and it's just like I'm not even worried because I know my level, and these guys, aren't on it.
Mm-hmm.
And the record speaks for it. What he's done as a boxer to promote himself as well and to promote the sport. Like when Mayweather comes out of retirement, people watch. Do you know what I mean? And when Mayweather fights, it's like, holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's like no one's touching him. And for a guy that doesn't need to punch the shit out of someone, people call him running. But man, if you're defending like that at that age, what is it, 50 now or 40, whatever it is, the guy's still insane. And I still reckon that if he comes out of retirement again to fight someone in boxing, but easy, He's not even worried because he knows his level.
Mm-hmm.
It's not nowhere near it. So he's my number 2. Number 1, I got Michael Phelps.
Yep.
Michael Phelps for me is the number 1 athlete of all time, and I don't think there's anyone close. That's my personal opinion. Okay, 23 gold medals. The closest person after that is 8. Okay, for us to comprehend that, I don't know how that works. Okay, because when you look at basketball, okay, you look at a certain amount of teams, certain amount of players over, say, X amount of years. The Olympics has been on since people could walk. Okay, like this when people were running naked during the 100 meters, when swimming was no lanes and everyone was probably smashing into each other and shit. Do you know what I mean? Since that time till today, there's no one remotely close to not only come close on a gold medal count, but to do it in such fashion. The guy is not only built like a tank, I think he is a tank. He's like, I remember, was it 2008 Olympics? I think it was. When I was looking into his diet, it was like 14,000 calories a day for this guy. And for him to take all that in and to put in masterclass performances in the water, it's insane. Not only to do it on a personal level, to do it on a team-based level as well for America, it doesn't come close for me. Yeah. I can't find a reason of who should come close to such angle. Like, we know that swimming is very volatile. Do you know what I mean? Like, the moment you get a bit older, you got youngsters that are flying out of there, and they're challenging you or they're pushing you to your limits. This guy came out and it's just like, oh, you're a challenger, are you? Don't worry, I'm not even worried. It's sort of like a Floyd Mayweather level as well. And this guy came in across 3 different Olympics, 23. I can't, like, you can't. Yeah. Like 23 gold medals.
He that's just the Olympics as well. He's got like gold medals in world championships.
100%. And I'm not even counting that. Yeah.
Yeah, like he's got 20 gold medals in the world championships as well.
And not only to come out to not only win gold medal, but it's like record and record and record and record. It's like, holy shit. Like, that's just insane. So for me, yeah, I don't I don't think anyone is close from an athlete perspective. Again, if it was a sportsman, he probably would be on this list. Probably put him maybe top 5 somewhere. But as an athlete, again, I've seen some of the photos that looks like him like this. It's like someone carved him out of stone. You know when you cheat in the game and you set all your attributes to 99? That's Phelps. Yeah. That's Phelps in the water. Okay, so look, again, that's my 10. If I've missed anyone, let me know. Or if you have any comments, let me know.
Yeah, look, before I start my one, I want to say, for anyone who's watching, and we get quite a few viewers, and thank you very much for watching us and supporting us. Please let us know your top 10 or someone you would have had in your list that, you know, Fatih hasn't had or I haven't had, or Inan's list won't have, because we are going to read his one after this, and it's a surprise for us because we haven't seen the list yet. I've gone with a little bit of a different approach. So with you, I noticed that you had 2 boxers in there. You had 2 basketball players. I tried to limit mine to 1 from each sport. So
who's your number 1 in badminton?
I don't know. Is that a sport?
No, I shouldn't say that.
But yeah, like, and that's why I'll give my honorable mentions as I go for those things, and why I picked certain people over other people.
To the sport?
Relating to that sport, yeah. So with my number 10, a little bit controversial, but I've gone Lewis Hamilton.
Okay.
It's not really an athletic sport that we think of, but there's definitely athleticism involved in, you know, in F1 driving. And this guy has been absolutely dominating. He's 7-time champion, and he's still got many years to go. So I had Lewis Hamilton. It's not a sport I follow, but even as someone who doesn't watch F1, he's a household name. So I think having that impact in people's lives from a sport that's not generally popular in my family or my social circle, I think says a lot about his achievements.
Yeah, you and I were discussing this offhand. It was like you can sort of start to see the Hamilton name sort of either catching up or possibly taking over the Schumacher name.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we were growing up, it was always Michael Schumacher. Now, again, Michael Schumacher, he did have his accident and it has pretty much just disappeared off the planet. We do wish him a recovery if it's possible. But yeah, Hamilton, you can clearly see that from an F1 perspective, it's like not only has he entered Schumacher territory, it's like, well, who's rivaling him?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it was Sebastian Vettel, but he sort of died away as well because Hamilton's just so far ahead now at the moment.
Yeah, well, when I have a few friends who follow F1, and when I said that in the last couple of years, I want to get into it, I want to follow it more closely, one of the comments that I got was, what's the point? Lewis Hamilton wins it anyway. So, just shows how dominant he is. As my number 9, taking away all the scandal and everything else that's involved, I've got Tiger Woods.
Okay.
He's, as I was saying to you, I think we talked about Tony Hawk's before, off air, before the podcast. If you've got a video game about you out in your sport, you've done well. You know, like, Tiger Woods, he dominated an era of golf before he fell off with all his, 15 mistresses or whatever he had, was definitely dominating. And respect to him, the amount of money he made from golf. And I don't know if you've ever played golf, Fatih. I've played once in my life. There is so much to get right with like just the swing that it's unbelievable. And then you hear people when they're talking golf, they're like, oh, my long game's good, but my short game's not. So like, not only are you like learning to drive the ball and putt the ball, you're playing everything in between, like learning to get out of sticky situations or, getting that advantage over yourself. And, these golf courses, they're played by these golfers, all year round. You're familiar with these golf courses. And to come out and to dominate for such a long era of time, I think says a lot about his athleticism. Golf's a hard game to perfect, and this guy has done it in his career. So
That's fair enough.
As my number 8, I've got Roger Federer. I think we were similar with you. What did you have Federer as?
I had 9.
You had 9, so we're in a similar range. And I'd like to point out how hard this actually is. I mean, coming up with 10 athletes that are like the best athletes of all time is one thing, and then to order them, it really is hard. So I had Roger Federer. I'm not going to touch too much on him because you've already done it, but I've never been big time into tennis, but I know that when Federer and Nadal are playing, it's like drop everything and watch this match. It's going to be crazy. So,
100%.
Number 7, Cristiano Ronaldo, and I don't have Messi on my list also.
Barcelona fans are going to hate us.
No disrespect to Messi. Look, he's amazing, but what makes Cristiano Ronaldo stand out for me is he's 1.87 meters tall, right? And he can dribble the ball like better than most short people who are closer to the ground. When you're talking about dribbling, he's up there. When you're talking about shooting, he's up there. He can jump higher than anyone else to head of the ball. You're talking speed, he's got it. And what I like about Cristiano Ronaldo is how diversified he's been. I mean, to achieve greatness in the EPL, then to go to Real Madrid and do it there. As you said, he's almost at the end of his career. He's doing it at Juve, which is still a very competitive, league.
Especially this year, yeah.
Yeah, and then to play in the Portugal national team, not taking any away from the Portugal national team, but when you're not playing with players that are amazing, you're not playing with your Mbappes and stuff like that, and so much is expected of you, he's stepped up in his career, and he's never had a whinge that he's not playing with players who aren't up to his caliber. I mean, you look at the Portuguese team, it was him and Quaresma at one stage, and Quaresma's a gun player, but man, there is a world of difference between him and Ronaldo.
Yeah.
So Ronaldo's my number 7.
Yeah.
Number 6 was the same as yours. I've got Usain Bolt. Pretty much what you said, man. Like, this guy just does it so effortlessly. I feel like he's just having a muck around. I think there's like photos of him just looking at cameramen as he's running past, like just posing. Yeah, it's really unfair. And like you said, the last Olympics that he's in, that he was in, was it 2016? We were supposed to have Olympics last year, right?
I think it was 4 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, so 2016, there was all this talk, he's just had this hamstring injury, he's not going to be able to do it. You're competing in the most competitive race in the Olympics, right? It's the 100 meter. Everyone wants to do it. You're a 12-year-old kid, you want to be the fastest kid in your school in the 100 meters. So not only is he's done it 3 back-to-back, but he's doing it in the most competitive race in the Olympics, and doing it without even trying. So definitely, and I really like, what's the word for it? A dominant athleticism involved there from his behalf.
100%.
This is where my list varies from yours big time.
Andrew Johns.
No. So your number one
Is my number
is
five?
my number
You're number
five.
Okay, fair enough.
So Phelps is amazing. As we already talked about how many gold medals he's won, completely dominated swimming and stuff like that. The reason why I have him here is because I don't want to talk down swimming, okay? It's amazing. I swim. You and I both swim, and I know how hard it is and how hard it is to get fast. But I feel like it's at an advantage of countries who have access to swimming pools or who have the facilities to make you swim. I mean, how many times have we seen at the Olympics where, like, and I don't mean to be pointing people out, people from certain nationalities jump in the water and they're drowning in an Olympic pool. There's people who can't finish 400-meter races. So, yes, all credit to Phelps. He's amazing. He's in my top 10. But it's just, I think, a very limited competition that's going up against. I mean, Australia was really, really good in the 2000 era, if you remember. But the amount of money that got pumped into the facilities of the training and, they had those costumes and blah, blah, blah. It just narrows down how much competition you have, in my opinion.
But do you think that even with Phelps that, the competition probably limited from a country perspective, but all those countries that produced all that talent was not even a problem for him?
Oh, no. See, he probably still would be number one. But I'm just saying, with some of these other ones that I have up on my list, there's like no competition for. There's like, no matter who played, no matter from where parts in the world. And I know this goes for a lot of things. Like Cristiano Ronaldo is arguably the best player of all time. But how do we know that there's not some kid who's playing in some jungle in Brazil who's even better than him? You know what I mean?
He needs to come out.
Come out, man.
Come out of that jungle.
But yeah, that was a thing. And
that's fair enough.
But to his credit, swimming is such an individual sport. And you do it, besides relay, besides the relay, you're good because you are good. You're not good because someone's given you an amazing cross or a great pass or, so top 5, really, really impressive. Phelps is amazing. Number 4, I've got someone that you don't have on your list.
Johns.
No. It's actually Naeem Suleimanoğlu.
Okay, yep.
He was a 7-time world champion weightlifter.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a 3-time Olympic gold medal winner. And weightlifting is something that's hard to do, just like the 100-meter sprint, 3 Olympics in a row. You're talking 12 years, your body ages. Even if you're in your first Olympics by 18, by the third one you're 30 years old. So, and not to mention how much pressure it's putting on your body. What makes him special for me as well is that he's come from such a poor background and he's achieved what he has. He's from Bulgaria and Turkey, and obviously, you're not getting the greatest training facilities. You're not waking up eating. Someone's telling you what to eat, what to drink, when to sleep, what to lift. Obviously, to a certain degree, but especially with the time period that he got really, really great. A lot of lists that I looked up when I did eventually start looking up, like I put in greatest weightlifters of all time. Naeem Suleimanoğlu was right up there, number 1 for most of them. Even some top athlete lists that I saw, he was in there. So I've got him as my number 4.
I think off the top of my head, adding to him as well, because as a country, everyone rallied behind him, especially when it came to the Olympics. I think one of the stats that I was reading about, and this was a while ago, was that he was actually one of the first, if not possibly the only one, maybe someone can correct me on this one, to actually lift 3 times their own weight.
Body weight, okay.
Yeah, I think he was the first person to. I think he attempted it once and failed, and then he managed to complete it. I think he was. I'm more leaning towards probably the first person to ever do it.
Okay, is this in a certain lift or is this in general? It's never been done.
I think it was in either in his division or it could possibly ever been done. I remember reading this stat a while ago. I was mega impressed. So, because he's Turkish, I'm going to say it's never been done before without any stat improvement whatsoever. So, but yeah, look, again, the guy was insane. If you actually look at his highlights or on YouTube and stuff like that, just his mental preparation when he lifts up that way, and you just look at him, it's like, man, you just expect expect him to just fly through the floor when his arms are just up.
He's really short, right?
Yeah, he's really, really short.
Yeah.
There's less distance to travel up. So it's
It
good.
definitely makes a difference. As my number 3, I've got Muhammad Ali.
Yep.
Look, as I was saying to you off air, Muhammad Ali was so great that people who didn't watch boxing watched boxing because of Muhammad Ali, and he was that good. Like on and off the ring, he was amazing. Like you said, with his trash talking, he had already won before he stepped into the ring most of the time, and the way float like a butterfly, sting like a bee is like the motto to every boxing movie or anything that's ever made. He was quick. He had the power, like just phenomenal. There's a little bit of a soft spot for me with him, only because he just became such a devout Muslim and he follows my faith. But yeah, he's my number 3 and amazing. Number 2, I've got Michael Jordan.
Okay.
And look, if you asked me 3 years ago, Michael Jordan would have made my top 10, but it wouldn't have made my top 2. And the reason why Michael Jordan is there is probably a lot to do with that documentary on him, The Last Dance. The way that he pulled a team in together, the way that he just, like you said, he just proved everyone wrong. Someone said he couldn't do it. He could do it. That mind frame, to have that mental strength is an amazing part of being an athlete. The reason why I didn't have LeBron in here, correct me, and I don't know a lot about basketball, but LeBron currently plays for Lakers, right?
Yeah.
And they've got a gun of a squad. And I'm not saying that you could put LeBron in any other team and he's not going to perform. But what made Jordan so special is that he played for Bulls and they had done nothing in their past. And he was not the only person who was involved. Obviously, he had like Pip and stuff around him who were amazing basketball players at the time. But he had a massive impact on them winning all those championships. And to come back and do it in The Last Dance, you've seen that last season, they're starting to change the team around. They've lost faith in them. And Michael's pretty much saying, no, look, we're still contending here. We haven't lost. And there's no way you can change this team until we have lost that championship. They go with, like, against everyone's odds, and they actually go out and win it again. So Michael Jordan, up there for me. Last Dance has a lot to do with it. I'm not a basketball fan, but you've definitely taken over the world with how well you played basketball. You know, in the documentary, how he comes to France, and they relate it to like the Beatles coming into France with how many people there were there. So very influential with what he did with his sport.
Oh yeah, definitely. Look, at the time, obviously it's a lot different now because obviously we have social media and we can stream games a lot easier. The technology didn't exist for them to see this person was either in a newspaper or on the news, and that's it. Now, a guy like Michael Jordan coming to your country was probably similar to, when Michael Jackson used to go to do concerts somewhere and people used to hang outside of his balconies and stuff like that. So I'd definitely give the influence factor, especially from an athlete perspective, to Jordan. One factor as well is, look, I would say the Bulls had a gun squad. I'll definitely agree with that.
Back then, yeah, they did.
But even though they had a gun squad, it just felt like Jordan knew how to keep him in line.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially like a player like Dennis Rodman.
Yes.
Yeah, Dennis Rodman did his own thing and shit like that and pissed off for a while and like from his party perspective, but it was just Jordan was just like, you know what, I'm gonna put you back into line.
Yeah, he knew how long to leave, without disrespect, the leash almost. He's like, I can give you this much, but then I'm gonna have to bring you back in. Like, what was it? He went to Vegas for the weekend or something like that.
Carmen Electra.
Yeah, and Jordan's like, he's not coming back. But they eventually get him to come back in and, get him more focused up again. And that is an amazing part of being an athlete. Not only are you focused on yourself at getting better, doing what's required of you, but he made sure that his teammates were doing what was required of them and keeping them together. So that had a massive impact on him being number 2.
Number 1, Emin.
Do you have any guesses? I'll just tell you that you're not going to get it.
Is it on my list?
No.
No?
I'm going to say that, you've probably heard of him, but I don't know if you know much about him.
Can you give me if I say what sport would it give it away?
Yeah, because he is the sport.
He is the sport?
Pretty much at the moment,
He is the sport at the moment. He is the sport
and
at the moment.
And it's like the MMA of all sports.
It's... What do you mean the MMA of all sports?
The MMA of all sports.
So is it MMA, UFC?
No.
No, it's not. So it's the MMA of all sports. Am I saying Tyson?
Nah.
Nah. Well, you said boxing. I said
Matthew Fraser.
Matthew Fraser.
CrossFit Games?
Nah, no idea.
Okay, so the CrossFit Games is based on CrossFit, okay? And the whole thing about CrossFit, whether you love or you hate, a lot of weightlifters hate it because you lose form and stuff like that. But the CrossFit Games is an international event, so there's a thing called an Open, and you do it at every CrossFit gym across the world. So the same event that these professional athletes are competing in, you compete yourself. I've done a lot of open workouts, and they are fucking horrible.
Okay.
I'll give you an example of one of the workouts I did, and I don't remember it 100%, but it started off with a 55 lifts at 160 kilos deadlifts.
Yep.
Okay. Went on to 55 wall balls, 55 handstand push-ups into 55 calories on a rower, right? And it was hell. I didn't finish it. And by the time I got I think up to the handstand push-ups, I was ready to puke. And these guys were smashing it. So they go up against all these ex-army guys, police officers, football players, soccer players, and they're put through courses of okay, this event is a swimming event. This event is like an Olympic lifting event. This event is a sprinting event.
It's like an Ironman, pretty much.
Pretty much. It's pretty much an Ironman. And this is why he's number one. So the mentality that Matthew Fraser has, so he started in 2014, okay, and he came second, right? To become second, they call you the fittest man in the world, right? Second fittest man in the world. This guy was ready to cry. He was so disappointed. He goes, how great. I'm the winner of the losers, right? He comes back the next year. He comes second again. And he's like, nah. And he's losing to Froning, who's known as the greatest. Now, Matt Fraser is still going. He won the last 3 in a row. But the way that this guy does it, right? So in a course of 3 days, they have 3 or 4 events in one day. And after the second event, your body's pretty much crying. They're laying in baths of ice and stuff like that. This guy doesn't go, hey, I'm 90 points clear of everyone. I can afford to come third in the next couple of events. He's just like, nah, I'm winning every event. He completely dominates it. And from a perspective of being an athlete, you're the best swimmer, you're the best lifter, you're the best runner, you're the best. And they give you these really horrible, awkward things to lift and get you got to roll this fridge-like thing across the line and stuff like that. He just handles everything so well. You're like, okay, Matthew Fraser's really good at lifting. He's going to suck at this swimming event and he'll come second. So all round, when I think of athleticism, I think of Matthew Fraser, and he's still got many years left in him.
That's interesting, man. I'll actually have to have a look into him. I've never been a fan of Ironman type of competitions and stuff like that. But yeah, just the way you're describing it to me, I might have to give this guy a go.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to hate on that, but
let's see if he beats my Michael Phelps.
Yeah, we got Inan's list here. Now, we both haven't seen this. I hope that this does not disappoint. Do you want to open it up at the same time?
Do you want me to go through it or?
Yeah, I don't mind. I just want to see the list before you start going.
I'm just going to announce as soon as I start. I'm going to start announcing it. I haven't opened it yet.
All right, ready?
So I'm pressing it now, and I'm going to start reading. Okay,
pressing it now.
We've opened it up. Okay, so we'll start from the. Is this in order? Oh yeah, it is in order. So we'll start from the bottom up. Okay.
Yep. Ooh.
All right, Inan. So Inan's actually written down a lot of the stuff and gave some commentary stuff as well that we'll summarize just a little bit. So at number 10, he's got Serena Williams.
His language.
Some of the things he's written here, we'll just leave that off here. He won the Australian Open 8 weeks pregnant. Okay, that's one of his massive things that...
he? She?
Sorry, she. Did I say he?
Yeah.
Sorry. I didn't want to assume her gender. I'm joking. So Serena Williams is number 10. Look, again, I had her on my honourable mentions. I don't hate that he's added her to the list, to be honest. I think she's one of the most phenomenal tennis players of all time. Even from a male perspective, obviously she'd probably struggle in the male league, like John McEnroe said. But yeah. Number 9, okay, this is different for us. So George St. Pierre. People that don't know, George St. Pierre is an MMA fighter who's retired, possibly. Look, I agree with what he's saying. He still trains hard and still wants to be a fighter, but what he's achieved during his career is insane. Like the 2 fights that George St. Pierre had. The 2 fights that George St. Pierre had that he lost was to Matt Serra, which he redeemed and absolutely redeemed in fashion. Yes, it is one of the most shocking losses of his of any fighter's career, to be honest, especially at that level. And he lost to Matt Hughes, and not only that, he smashed Matt Hughes when he came back. And ever since then, he's just anyone that came in front of him, he dominated. Absolutely. And then to go into retirement and to come back to look like you're even better, it's just insane. So I don't complain that he's in number 9.
He's like the Swiss Army knife of MMA. So he's got like a bit of everything. He's your real, true mixed martial artist. I remember watching an interview of him probably over 10 years ago now, where he was like, he walks into a gym and he'll see someone, for example, doing judo. And he's like, hey, what's that? I got to learn this. And he just goes and takes up training to get that martial arts training done. So he's just, as an athlete, constantly thinking to better himself, give himself a different like artillery of, mixed martial arts to better himself in his sport. So yeah, I didn't have him on my list, but he's definitely been one of my favorite fighters of all time.
Yeah, look, if I had a sportsman's list, he would be on there.
Yeah,
because of just the way this guy is, even
humble
outside.
as.
Yeah, like people can speak so much shit about him, and he's still so nice, especially in trash talking like scenarios where people try to get a rile out of him. He's one of the nicest guys you'll probably ever meet.
Yeah.
Number 8, again, all three of us have this man, Roger Federer. Pretty much he's I'll read out Inan's commentary on this one. 20 Grand Slams and he's still going. Plus he's a gentleman. It would be very difficult to hate the bloke. Again, 20 Grand Slams. I know, again, Nadal has 20 as well. It's just Federer's just been so dominant over all round of. If there was an alien invasion and the whole Earth was being decided on a tennis match, I would choose Roger Federer. Okay, yeah. So that's the point. Number 7 for Inan. Is it 7? 10, 9, 8, 7, yep. LeBron James. I think that matches one of our lists, I think. 4 championship and he's still going. He's a beast. He's a monster. You would have to be in his presence to understand why he's on the list. Look, LeBron James, we've gone through it, man. He's a beast. He's an animal. So I don't hate him for that one. Tiger Woods, he's joined you for number 6.
Yeah, he's his reasoning behind it. I don't know if we should say it.
Nah, I think we'll give that a bit of a miss. I think you've pretty much summarized Tiger Woods in a fashion that.
But to reword Inan's words to be nicer, he is an African American who dominated a known.
It's considered to be a white
man's sport. Yeah. So. Yeah, that is something that I didn't consider when I put him on my list.
It's the country club game. That's what I call it. Golf. Look, I'm not a fan of golf, so. Number 5, another MMA fighter, John Jones. Now, look, I struggled not to put John Jones on my list.
So did I.
Okay, I think I know the hype of Khabib has been the GOAT of all time, of the GOAT of MMA, I should say. Is currently alive and well, considering his retirement, and he's 29-0. I think as an all-round fighter, and I believe that's what I'm sort of referencing here as who's beaten him, and that's sort of so true. Like that DQ against Matt Hamilton, where it was a elbow to the top of the head. It's not a DQ, to be honest. It's just the fact that number's just there for him, unfortunately, and hopefully one day it gets overturned. But the fans know that doesn't count pretty much. But as an all-round fighter, he's striking, his timing, the way he reads the fight, the way he utilizes his leg kicks, the way he utilizes his wrestling, like this. If at the moment he is the perfection of MMA.
Mixed martial arts. That's what I was gonna say. Like, you go into a fight with Khabib, I'm not saying you're gonna win. You have some sort of game plan. Keep him off the ground, keep the fight striking. With John Jones, how do you come up with a fight plan for him?
Yeah, like again, I don't know. Many people have tried, many people have failed. We'll see. He's moving up to heavyweight, so we'll see if that's maybe play a different factor for him. But I just think that
he's a freak.
His arsenal that he has is just insane. So
I like how he improvises well. Like out of nowhere, he'll just jump up, like do 3 spinning kicks, and
it's like he does a spinning elbow with his knee.
Yeah, like, he just improvises, and like wow, you can do that on the spot and take a risk like that. You've got some sort of confidence that you're going to be able to do that, maybe miss and still recover from it without getting pounded by someone.
Number 4, Usain Bolt. Inan's pretty much summarized it with 3 words: fastest human alive. Okay, and to do it over 3 Olympics like we've done it before. He's labelled Cristiano Ronaldo as number 3. Probably he's labeling better than Messi. From a technical point of view, I think you and I covered that a lot better. I'm going to read this as what it is, to be honest. Michael Jordan, first billionaire athlete, billions. Okay. Michael, I don't think we need to get into Michael Jordan. And he's number one that we didn't have on our list. So
I did toss up having him, to be honest.
I did as well. But I figured that if I added him and omit Muhammad Ali, would have been hard.
Injustice, yeah.
It would be injustice for me. Or even Floyd Mayweather, to be honest. So Inan's top athlete of all time, Mike Tyson. Okay, so I would definitely agree with the idea of adding Tyson to a list like this. I'll probably disagree with Inan's from a sense of being number one. Put him number one.
Yeah.
Because if we're counting his from an athleticism point of view, we've got to look at one of the most controversial losses of all time in the boxing world, Vander Holyfield, and biting someone's ear off.
And then spitting it out.
But I will never take away from the fact that this guy was a killing machine.
Yep.
What was it, 37-0 before he ended up with that shock loss. And his movement, his speed, his read. I think that if his trainer didn't pass away, I think his career would have turned out a lot different from a sense of success point of view, where you probably could have maybe put him on top of Floyd Mayweather and maybe rival Muhammad Ali. But look, I don't blame him for putting it on the list. I wouldn't have put it as number 1 though. But maybe we can, if he comes out of government hiding, he can come out and justify why he put him as number 1.
Yeah, but then I don't know how freely he can speak now with all the microphones in his butt.
Yeah, they're all going to be listening to our conversation. Look, that's our top 10. If you have any questions or if you have any comments, comment them down below.
Even if you have any critics, like let us know why you think my number 1 or my number 3 shouldn't be there, or if you think my 5 is better than my 3, let us know. We want to hear about it. And you know what? If you comment, I'm going to shout you out next episode just so we can bump those comment numbers up. Please let us know. We want some more interaction, and yeah, give us a list and we'll read out your list and see what we think of it next week.
Yeah, 100%. And if you disagree or if you agree with one of our lists, personally name us so we can shame the other guy. Okay. That's our top 10, man.
That's our wrap, is it?
Yeah, that's our wrap, man. Thank you very much for listening. Our things and mings and socials and socials, so they're all down here somewhere.
Yeah, and another shout out for men's health as well. Remember, guys, as men, we stay too quiet about this thing. We want to show that we support all men with mental health, as we did with the episode with our psychologist May Ladkani on the episode. The links have always been in our description. They will remain to be there. And just stay mental health wise and seek some help if you are going through some stuff.
Yeah, totally 100% agree. All right, we'll catch you on the flip side.